again. From the Amateur Theater, I'm Samy B, your host. Today I would like to do a little something different. I'm going to take the theater into a unique direction. I mean, I feel, for me, it's unique. It's a sort of spin-off series from the Amateur Theater where stories are told. I'm going to call it In the Library with Harold Bloomsfeild. Take it away, Harry.
Thank you there, Sammy. My name is Harold Bloomsfield. I like to write stories. And in writing these stories, I put them on paper and I bring them out for you. Thank you for having me there, Sammy. Is this cup of coffee for me?
Yep.
It's kind of weird you would offer me a cup of coffee, knowing that I have such a lush white beard, and I'd probably stain it if I drank that coffee. But thanks for the thought. Anyway, do you put sugar in this coffee?
Yep.
Yeah, diabetic.
Oops.
Yeah, wonderful. Honey, I thought you gave him my rider.
I gave it to
Didn't you give him my rider? I let him know
Gave
what
it
things.
to-
You got my Skittles?
Nope.
Yeah. The Skittles with all the red ones taken
Don't
out.
do that here.
Next time you better have my Skittles.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Now, where's my glass? Oh, there's my glasses right here. I'll tell you the story about the smoke jumping guitar player. Alright, there we are, now I can see. My name's Harold Bloomsfield. That's a pleasure to be here. In the library, where I spend a lot of my time. As you can see, I don't get out much. I don't get a haircut. I put a hat on to try to make myself look neat, but... here we go. This is the story of how a once amateur folk blues musician became a legend in just a few short hours. Please remember during the story, time is not just a clock ticking down, but a countdown to the moments that matter. As you'll hear in this thrilling tale of a guitar player turned firefighter turned legend. I will be noting down the time of this story as it progresses, so you can see how short the story really is. Short enough to start counting down your next moment that matters. Let me paint you a picture. If you could feel like a character in the story. The year is 1974. Late spring, Northern California. 6:25 a.m. You'll wake up. Just another normal day. The sun is shining. You hear birds singing. You notice through your sleepy eyes deer foraging in the backyard. Picture perfect, wouldn't you say? Then in an instant, the sky gets dark. Start to block out the sun, and the animals, they disperse. Nothing to worry about. It was a humid morning. A nice cool rainstorm would do us good, you'd think to yourself. But there wasn't any. It didn't even smell like rain. The storm was different. Flashes, then more flashes as lightning streaks across the sky. Right over there in the mountains to the north that shadows your suburb in the valley. 6:31 a.m. Then it happens. Up in the mountains, lightning strikes with a thunderous crack, like the end of a rawhide whip against a steer's path to drive him to turn toward a different direction. A bolt of lightning takes aim at a large hemlock standing alone in the middle of some bull pines. Crack! Then silence. Then a slight roll of thunder.
Crack! Crack! Crack!
3 more strikes. Then a 4th, then a 5th. Then silence again. During all this commotion in the sky, you manage to make it to the back porch with a cup of coffee and watch the light show, of course. Who doesn't like a lightning storm when you can watch from a safe distance? It's 6:34 now. It's too late. You missed it. The show is over. Oh well.
You still got your cup of hot joe, don't you?
And, you just happen to live with a great mountain view off the porch. So you sit down to enjoy your coffee. Then you see it. Up on the mountainside, shimmering yellow light. Then a stream of smoke coming up from the ridge about a half a mile from your favourite camping spot. Off to the east, another stream of smoke, and then another. 4 or 5 streams of smoke bellowing off the mountainside. Thick black smoke. Now as if it's growing inside, being fed by underbrush and live vegetation, causing the smoke to darken. 6:38 a.m. Within minutes, it seems to pass as slow as a dream in the night. You see those streams of smoke merge into the giant plume of thick white black smoke, 4 or 5 football fields in size. You jump up in panic. It's so early in the morning, you might be the only one seeing this. You run in the house and into the kitchen, slipping on water you spilt, rushing to make your coffee earlier. You catch yourself on the stool, but the stool by the island, hitting your funny bone on the counter. You rub it until the feeling is back in your fingers, completely forgetting the original reason for rushing into the kitchen. About 6:41 a.m. now, you remember. You reach for the receiver. Rotary dial, of course. This is 1974. Right as you go to dial 0 for the operator to get emergency services to acknowledge the fire on the mountainside, you hear it. You lower the receiver and you freeze. That sound you were told you could hear but haven't heard in the 10 years you've lived here. It's 6:42 now. The evacuation sirens wailing in the town just northeast of you. Now the one at the north end of town and the south end. Questions and panic rushing through your head as if the life was flashing before your eyes. This is real. This is real. This is real comes blaring out of your mouth as if your thoughts and reality had the same epiphany. Then silence. But only to you. The sirens are still blaring and warning of the fast approaching forest fire. You are laser focused now on the possible scenarios of visions of life and death. Act 2. 20 miles to the south, east, 6 a.m. that same morning. Firefighter Lance is just coming back from his morning PT. That's short for physical training. This was a daily routine of exercise and training starting at 5 a.m. promptly. The chief says if you're on time, you're already late. So technically, PT started at 4:45. Just to be on the safe side. Lance is excited today. Ooh, today is a special day for Lance. Today is his first shift as a rookie smoke jumper. Lance spent the last year and a half on the ground crew training and fighting fires. The ground crew would be bussed in as close as the fire as possible and would hike the rest of the way into the fire, carrying a pack weighing 160 plus pounds for 3 to 5 miles or more, climbing 1 to 2,000 feet in elevation over rough terrain to get to the fire line. This year, a spot opened up, and Lance, a go-getter, so he ended up with it. County budgets only have allowances to cover usually an already understaffed jumper unit. This made it very competitive for the men going out for jumper seats. Lance liked this about smoke jumping units. 6:15 a.m. Lance finishes his shower and is grabbing a quick bite in the mess tent before grabbing a coffee to go and hurrying out the door, almost bumping into Chief coming in. "Where you running to, Ruck?" the Chief hollered. "There's no fire. I have a date," Lance yelled back, still in a rush to get back from the barracks. "You're on shift, Ruck. No leaving the base." "I know, Chief. I'll be in the barracks. It's not with a girl." Puzzled, the Chief shook his head and turned to continue into the mess line as the rookie ran off. 6:25 a.m. Lance, now a smoke jumper, was eager to do his job. The one thing he liked more than attempting to control that seemingly uncontrollable flame was attempting to control that seemingly uncontrollable music calling he had been chasing as long as he could remember. Before the flame reached out and called Lance to action as a firefighter, he was a blues and folk musician, playing in coffee shops, cafes, dive bars, festivals, hotels, wherever would have him. Then he became a firefighter, and he left his most prized possession back east in a small town in Delaware, his 1955 Gibson J45, in tobacco sunburst. This wasn't just any old guitar, you know. No, sir, this J45 was given to Lance by Woody Guthrie himself. During a tour Woody was on in Chicago, Lance got to open for him in the 60s. But that's a story for another time. Truth, that guitar to Lance was his mistress, that he finally has a date with after so long apart. 19 months of grueling firefighting, he had saved up enough to have it shipped to the base. This was a date he was determined not to miss. 6:26 a.m. Lance bust through the barracks doors, planting his feet firmly to stop his momentum as he slid 6 bunks down, 3 past where he was intended to stop. Like a cartoon running in place to reverse direction, he made it back to his bunk. There laid out was a cardboard package with his name on it. Lance flicked open his pocket knife and carefully cut back the tape and unfolded the box. 6:30 a.m. There she was, just the way he remembered. After a few minutes spent in awe from its splendor, almost a golden light illuminating from the box. He reaches for it. The sound of angels rejoicing would be the only way to describe his feeling. At that moment, nothing mattered but getting that beautiful craft. Excuse me. At that moment, nothing mattered but getting that beautiful crafted art. Hey. Sammy, can we do another take?
No.
No, just keep going. Alright, you just keep rolling here. And here we go. He reaches for it. The sound of angels rejoicing. Rejoicing? I am just so horrible today. I've only been asleep 4 hours and I'm here doing this. It's a long flight from where I come from.
Hi there. Well, Harry gets his stuff together and his thoughts and whatnot. I thought I'd take a quick second to say there's, about 80 some odd plus % of you watching videos are not subscribers. And I mean, that's okay. You just want to watch. If you're just browsing by and you don't like what you see and you move on, please move on. I'm fine with that. You be you, I'm gonna be me. The more of you that subscribe, the more things I can get for the channel, the better equipment I can buy, more people. Let me just say more people. The people that have been here have been tremendous. These are tremendous people. I don't want to associate with people that aren't tremendous. So Dozer, come here. Up. Up. Good boy. So from me to you and all the crew here at the Amateur Theater, thank you for watching. Let's get back to Harry's story. I'm intrigued. Harry?
Alright, so here we go. 6:30 a.m. He reaches for it. The sound of angels rejoicing would be the only way to describe his feeling. At that moment, nothing mattered but getting that beautifully crafted work of art to make discordant tones that echoed through his empty mind. No, nothing mattered except... Now where did I leave that pick? Fumbling through his locker. Maybe I just finger plucked for now. Where is it? Where is it? Been waiting so long just to hear its voice. You know what? Lance thought, as he just realized he had been voicing his thoughts out loud. He looked around. There was no one to hear. With a sigh of relief, he reached into his pocket. Surely he had a nickel or a penny to use. Damn. Only a 10 and 2 ones. He had to make change. 6:35 a.m. Determined as ever to hear this one-of-a-kind instrument as it was intended and as he remembered it to be. Lance gently placed the J45 down on his bunk, grabbed all the packaging and headed off to get change, disposing of the packaging in the steel barrel outside barracks door as he jogged by. After all, he was a firefighter, and multitasking is a good thing for firefighters to do. Where would he get change for $1? 6:37 a.m. There, the med tent, the doc. He's got to have change. Lance thought already have banged through in the mess tent. Sure enough, the doc was able to accommodate Lance, but only had 83 cents. In the early 70s, money was real tight. The 17 cents Lance was giving up could have fed him one meal or even buy a gallon of gas, if gas could be found. Lance was willing to sacrifice to hear that guitar. 6:39 a.m. A bit winded from the morning PT and all this running in search of change, Lance finally sits in his bunk and places the guitar firmly on his lap. It felt like home. Lance took a couple of deep breaths. He held up a dull penny from the random 83 cents that he was given for change of $1. He looked at the date, as most people do. Unbelievable. A 1955 penny. Wouldn't this just be a beautiful coincidence? But there was something funny about this penny. The date looked like it was double printed, and the words Liberty and In God We Trust also were doubled. Lance thought this to be unique, and this was the penny to reunite him with his first love. Music. Oh. I would like to go into a little bit about this penny. I skipped a whole paragraph, and it's detrimental to the story. Little did Lance know that this penny today, for its double print mishap called a DDO, in this case the rare 1955 double die of verse, worth thousands today, and more than likely worth a few hundred in 1974. Not bad for being shorted for change for $1, if you ask me. None of this was known to Lance, nor would it have mattered. Guitar, this moment, that's all he cared about. 6:39 and 57, 58, 59, 6:40 a.m. Lance flipped the penny through his fingers as he had done so many times in the green room before he hit the stage. He started to raise his arm in time to his foot that was naturally tapping on the floor in anticipation. When he is startled by a alert tone and the voice on the loudspeaker came ripping through the barracks, hitting Lance with the force of a 12-foot wave, stopping him in his tracks, almost dropping his guitar. It was his second love. The flame was calling him away from his first love, the music. Without hesitation, 6:40 and 23, 24, 25. Without hesitation, Lance set his J45 on the bunk in front of him, Pulaski's bunk, and ran out of the barracks as he heard his name and all of the others in his squad. This was his first jump into the flames, his first chance to fly into the fire, to use his training to save lives, to get to the first fire fast, to try to control the flame, the roaring beast. Lance joined into the line of smokers already running to the hangar, the roar of the engines firing up and the smell of exhaust and the fear in the air. Lance, so amped up as anyone in an intense situation would be, jumped into his flight suit, not really realizing until the brush collar was almost suffocating him that should have been on the back of his neck. He had put his suit on backwards. Or his fellow smoke jumpers were hazing the rookie jumper and set his suit up purposely backwards on the hook. The subtle giggling and then explosive laughter of Pulaski and Barnes. Lance knew the latter to be true. He quickly put his suit on properly, hopping toward the airstrip as to not be left behind on his first jump. 6:42 a.m. Back in town. The winds have picked up and shifted, the evacuation sirens still warning of the encroaching fire. You are still scrambling to get out. You grab your hat, your wallet, your keys. Oh, and don't forget the cap. Running to your car, you start heading south with the flow of traffic. 6:45 a.m. Lance and the squad are in the plane, lined up on the runway. 3 dual-engine airplanes practically pushing each other down the runway take off almost in unison. 30 men, husbands, dads, uncles, brothers, heroes left the runway, climbing fast to 10,000 feet. Then 12. They would need to fly around the mountain to come in from the northern side. 7:05 a.m. The plane starts its 180-degree loop to position the jumpers to use the wind to place themselves on the ground safely and clear of the fire. This was a risky maneuver. They would be parachuting over the flames to land on the southern side. The plane lowers to 5,000 feet, putting Lance's stomach into his throat. The chief yells out, "The winds are changing! We got one more shot at this! Who's got the apple for the rookie?" "Right here, chief!" Barnes tosses the apple to Lance. "What's this for?" Lance questioned. Pulaski interjects, "You keep it in your mouth when you jump, so if you get roasted when you land, you have all the trimmings." The squad bursts out in laughter. 7:11 a.m. Just then, the buzzer sounded and the red light turns to green. It was jump time. "You're up, rookie! Go, go, go!" the chief ordered. Lance bit into the apple and held it tight to his teeth, hooked his lanyard into the pull cable and leaped out the door. 7:22 a.m. A squad of 10 men lands in the safe zone as planned and starts to cut line. Cutting line is a term used to describe a space stripped of all vegetation and underbrush down to dirt, 4 to 6 feet wide, in a long continuous line. This is an attempt to slow or to stop the fire from moving past the line, essentially containing the fire to a specific location or turning the fire away from populated areas. This can also get the fire to burn up all of its immediate fuel and snuff itself out. This holds sometimes. Sometimes the fire jumps a line from a fallen tree or a hot ember. This is their first line of defense. 10 a.m. Lance and his squad are cutting line a few hours ahead in direction that should have met up with another squad coming up from another direction. There was no sign of them. The heat was intense, even though they couldn't see flame. Distant crackling and branches breaking could have heard over the grunting and murmurs of the men as they cut line. "Keep cutting, man," the chief ordered. "We should meet up with squad 819 anytime now. Keep cutting. Go, go, go. Get that tree down over there, Pulaski. Let's go! Move! 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 The chief continued to encourage. The smoke was getting thicker, and the heat was turning up. Squad, over! Squelching of the walkie cut into the squad number. Squad 822, come back! The chief responded. Lance could not make out what was being said to the chief, but the look of emotion that suddenly surged over the chief's face told Lance plenty. Huddle up, men, the chief ordered. Squad 819 missed their safe zone and were lost to the flame. The winds changed mid-jump and no one knew. They anticipate no survivors. Sorry, men, the chief confessed. You could hear a pin drop over the quiet murmurs amongst the men. The fire has grown too big for us on the side of the mountain, the chief continued. The fire is closing in on us on 3 sides. Our fire line might be our only path out. We need to move. "10:02 a.m. Lance joined the ranks of his squad. Each man in front in charge of the man in back. This would ensure everyone makes it out together and accounted for. By 10:15 a.m., Lance and the squad pushed through the smoke. He felt like hours had passed, though it had only been a few minutes. Navigating the fire line was nearly impossible in thick smoke. You couldn't see much. You could hear the names of each squad member calling out to the man in front in response to his call back to the man behind, over and over again amongst the coughing and hacking of the squad. Lance was near the end of the line, sandwiched between Barnes up front and Pulaski picking up the rear, keeping the rookie on his first jump between 2 veteran firefighters. "Lance!" Barnes called out. "Barnes!" Lance called out. "Pulaski!" Lance shouted behind him, with no response. "Pulaski! Pulaski!" Still no answer. The sight of flames was prominent now. The snap crackle pop of large pines and hemlocks burning up into the atmosphere seemed louder than Lance's calls to Pulaski, even louder than the thoughts in his head. The thoughts of Pulaski's fate. At 3, the sound of Barnes calling out was just barely able to be heard because Lance had turned around. The smoke thick, too thick. Never mind seeing, breathing was almost impossible. All this smoke can only mean one thing. The fire was here. Just then, Lance heard a helicopter buffeting its way toward him. Finally, the water dropped. This may give him a few more moments to find Pulaski. It seems like forever until the helo sounded like it was above Lance, who was trying to collect himself from the panic setting in. Now no sound or sight of Barnes or Pulaski. Lance was alone. He could have only relied on solely his training to survive. He still had to find Pulaski. The helo swooped past Lance's location. The water drop would be dropped on the fire line. He assumes it is in the direction the helo is flying. The chief must have called it in to give the rookie more time to get out and give him a direction that he would be walking in. The wind from the passing helicopter stirred up hot ash and embers. Lance looked away, shading his face. The smoke cleared for a split second in Lance's view. A dirty yellow firefighter coat on the side of the fire line, not 4 feet from where Lance was standing. It was Pulaski. Lance had already walked past him in the smoke. Without the helo spraying hot ash and embers in his face, he may never have seen him. Lance looked up in anticipation of the water drop to give him some relief. They flew right by. No water for Lance. He notices the drop happens about 1 click away. He wasn't far from the pathway out that was ever encroaching fire trap that he had been stuck in. 10:20 a.m. Lance grabs Pulaski unconscious, but breathing, and heaves him over his shoulder and starts moving toward the exit. The smoke filling Lance's lungs, and every gasp, another 2 or 3 steps of heat, was becoming unbearable. Lance dropped to one knee and carefully rode Pulaski to the ground as gentle as he could. Lance looked up ahead and saw it. The doorway was heading for closed. The roar of the flames closing the path to safety surrounded like a devilish laughter. Lance, remembering his training, had only one shot of surviving this. The fire was closing in fast. Time was almost up. This is the moment that matters. Lance immediately started to clear a shallow hole and as much underbrush as he could in a small circle around the shallow impression and Pulaski. Time is up, Lance. Lance only had one time to make an impression deep enough for one person. 10:25 a.m. Lance rode Pulaski into the impression in the earth, face down, removing his fire coat at the same time. Lance frantically stretched the coat over Pulaski's head and torso. These coats, meant to withstand temps of up to 1200 degrees, held tight to the earth, was the best shot he had to survive. The flames so close now, Lance's hands and face being scorched just from the heat alone. Lance laid face down over Pulaski, his legs and feet towards Pulaski's head, legs spread to hold the coat to the earth, over his defenseless friend. Lance covered the legs of Pulaski with his upper body and put his arms over his head to let the fire burn them over. If it's a quick moving fire, and it appears to be, they had a shot. A silence came over Lance as he lay there covering his friend from the flames. In the midst of all this chaos around him, he felt at peace, unafraid. He thought of his Gibson J45. 11:01 a.m. Pulaski's thoughts had come true. He had been struck by a fallen branch and was knocked out. He pushes himself from under the fire coat, feeling the weight of something heavy on top of him. The ground was hot and blackened. Ash swirled up into Pulaski's eyes and mouth. He choked and coughed and rubbed his eyes. When he opened his eyes, there he was, Lance, laying on top of the fire coat, arms covering his head. June 15th, 1974. Lance, the smoke-jumping guitar player from a little town in Delaware, died, saving Pulaski. This fire claimed 11 smoke jumpers and 500 acres of forest before it was contained. 500 acres, though not the biggest fire in history, is still massive, and the lives taken and the wildlife displaced is big enough, don't you think? Act 4. This is the final act, folks. Please stick around to the end. Like and subscribe Mr. Samy B's channel if you haven't already, and get some more stories out to you real soon here. Act 4 of The Smoke Jumping Guitar Player. Here we go. A few weeks later, Pulaski got out of the infirmary for smoke inhalation and only some minor burns. He headed for the barracks to retrieve his belongings for med leave to finish his recovery at home. Pulaski enters the barracks slowly, head down. He knew all the belongings of his fallen brothers would be packed and on their prospective bunks awaiting retrieval from their families. He walks to Lance's bunk and notices there's only a pair of jeans, a white t-shirt, and a billfold with a 10 showing, and a handful of change. That's it. No duffel bag, no picture of home. Out of the corner of his eye, he noticed something odd on his bunk. It was the Gibson J45 that he had heard so much about. A tear rolled down his face. Just then, a new rookie comes laughing his way into the barracks. His new home away from home. His destiny, maybe. There was so much noise from him, really, to tell what he was laughing about. The rookie and Pulaski catch eye contact. The rookie sees the emotion in Pulaski's face. Then the duffels lining 11 of the 30 bunks and the immediate looks down. "Ooh, a penny," the rookie proclaimed. "And it's face up. This must be my lucky day," as he turned to put it in his pocket and headed out the door. Later that same day, you pull back into your driveway. You sigh with relief. Your house is untouched by the fire. You are safe to go about your busy life, safe to count down the next moment that matters. No one knows what happened to Lance's Gibson J45. It's rumoured Pulaski kept it, learned to play, and used it to change careers under the stage name Christopherson. People say it now sits in a closet in the barracks of a Northern California smoke jumper base with a 1955 double-dyed reverse penny taped to the back by a labeled sticker that reads, "Firefighter Lance, not just a man, also a hero. Don't touch." Signed, K.K. Pulaski. Figured I'd get back into that one little verse there, because, not everybody's perfect. We try to do things here one take if we can. Thank you for watching. My name is Harold Bloomsfield, and I like to write essays and stories about people in the musical world. And I will be doing more of this if you'll have me. If Mr. Samy B will have me, then things will be looking up for